Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have the star, the writer and producer and director of the movie Showdown in Yesteryear. Let's start with introductions with Jeff up there.
Howdy, everybody.
And Jeff's the star. We got Tim down there. He is the writer, producer.
Producer. I didn't write the script for this one.
Oh, okay. And Aaron is the director. And
yes, I am.
All right. Okay. I've got
moving parts.
Yeah, all the moving parts. We will be adding stuff to this podcast that I have recorded at the I want to say the world premiere, but it wasn't really the world premiere. It was the cast and crew screening is what you sent to me.
Right. Yep.
I really liked this movie. It was fun, and the fun. This is amazing what you guys were able to put together on a low budget. Lower budget, and it is a great movie. I can't give too much away. I had somebody ask me, they're like, well, is it science fiction? I'm like, time travel is involved, but then the rest of it's a Western. I was like, it's, and I don't know if you guys remember this TV show, came out in '87 called The Outlaws. It's the reverse of this show, of this movie. It's the guys from the Old West end up in modern day Texas, which is 1987, and then stuff ensues. But yeah, this is the opposite. So I guess your guys' movie would be sci-fi adjacent, but a Western for first and foremost. So all right, tell us how this came to be. Tell us how this movie came to fruition.
Well, who starts? I guess I'd have to start with Tim. He kind of.
Yes, Tim.
Tim, yeah.
Yeah. So it started with a short film I wrote and had Aaron shoot it. Jeff starred in that as well. It's basically the same premise as Showdown. Nerdy cowboy goes through a door in the woods and it dumps him into the 1800s Old West.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
100% what the movie is.
I was there. It happened.
Yeah. It basically was the same premise, and then once we brought it to the full length feature, that really the drama and it came about character and all that stuff, and that's the kind of thing I'm interested in. That and action, clearly, if you've seen the movie, but the short really was something Tim had written, and then we all went out there and kind of made this thing together, and it turned out pretty well, and people seemed to really like the short. So Tim, people were kind of asking you about it.
Yeah, everybody was like, you need to make this something bigger. Like, love the premise, love it, everything about the film. So here we are.
I kept getting asked myself a lot.
Well, that short film, when you let me see it, I was like amazed. I thought that was great. And then you're like, this is what I'm making full length feature of. And I was like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. And I do agree with some of the casting changes from point A to point B. I do love the current version of the Beast that you now have. That casting choice was very well. I mean, because you always had the big guy in all the Westerns where everybody was afraid of. You never got the, normal sized guy that was just a little crazy, a little crazier than the rest. And I like that. I thought that was great.
I got
casting.
most of that.
Yep. Oh. So.
That casting change. So Jesse, who plays the Beast, Jesse Marciniak, he's a phenomenal actor, and he was in my first feature. which Tim is also in. Tim O'Hearn here, he was in that acting as well, and so Tim was kind of in the know about my first film and had seen it and stuff, and he really liked Jesse Marciniak, as the kind of antagonistic character in that film too. That guy plays a just wonderful villain. And so that was really Tim's choice to bring in Jesse. And once Jesse, took over the role, it was really just about finding what that, antagonistic character could be. And especially in now having a smaller stature. So it became this kind of Napoleonic short man syndrome thing. And I think it also adds a lot of duality to Daryl Dunwoody's character. Because Daryl not being somebody who's big and tall and, larger in life. And then having this other villain who kind of, almost the same stature. It kind of just, those two balance off each other in a really good way. Where before, it was like some 7 foot tall dude who just towered above you, and it's like, yeah, that works, and that's a kind of classical villain trope and everything. And there's nothing certainly wrong with that or that actor, but yeah, it's just I think more interesting to do it the way we did it. With the shorter kind of, more evil, and the guy who needs to prove how evil he is through his words and his actions more so than just looking intimidating.
Yeah. Well, I believe the actor that you had for the short, just being the big guy, worked for the short. Mm-hmm. And when you get more story, Jesse's character, Jesse, worked better for the longer, run of the duration of the movie. I know, I don't know where you guys ended up, because when we saw it, it was almost exactly 2 hours. Where's your current cut on that?
1 hour, 59 minutes and 30 seconds. On the internet, it'll just say 1 hour, 59 minutes. And, it's important, I guess, to get under 2 hours, because people look at, anything over 120 minutes and, oh my goodness, there's such a weird like stigma about runtime these days, where it's like, man, 4 hour movies used to kick ass, like, or 3 hour movies. Like, as long as you had a story to fill that time, who cares how long it is? But people will watch 10 hours of a TV show, or they'll watch a series that's 12 hours long in a single sitting. But as soon as they hear, new Justice League's 4 hours long or something, they start crying. And, oh, the new Avengers is going to be 3 hours long. I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, what?
I used to run a hotel here in town, and my bosses were all Indian, and they didn't understand why our movies were so short, because their average movies, I think, 3 hours, and they're they're like, hour and a half, 2 hours. Why is it a short movie? And they're like, because theaters want to show more showings. I that's what I've always been told.
It's partly,
that's part of it.
It's partly that, and then I think it's just American attention spans.
Right.
We're also TikToked out these days. That I think TikTok, in a lot of ways, it is the shortest amount of content, and it's just pure storytelling. How much of a story can you tell in 5 seconds? You could do something with that medium, but I think it's kind of killing movies as well, because it's like, all right, you have to tell something so short. That's what people want now. They kind of get in this weird malaise while they're doing it, where a movie takes. I mean, and I get it too. I get this feeling, especially somebody who studies movies. And, it's my life. So like, I get times where I hate movies, and I'm like, yeah, that's a commitment I just don't want to do at this point. So I get the feeling, but I think that's becoming a wider issue now, and a lot of people, they're just so in tune with just short now content. Everything has to be so succinct and so quick, and pop, that they can't. A 3 hour movie just seems so weird these days, and I don't. That's a bad thing. We've lost something. The 3 hour epic, the historic epic, your Lawrence of Arabia's and all that. That's where it's at.
Well, I was watching.
I have to say, though, from my perspective.
Tell me your perspective.
I would go from my perspective and from the other people's perspective that have actually seen the film, even in New York and so on and so forth. Where it is 2 hours long, it doesn't feel it.
No, it definitely
doesn't feel long and drawn out.
No, because when we went, like I said, we saw that the 2 hour version, and we were sitting in there, and it was like, oh, it's over. Okay. And I was like, well, Tim said it was 2 hours almost exactly. And I like looked down at my phone. We were getting ready to leave. I'm like, oh, that was 2 hours. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely is paced well. You definitely do not feel that 2 hour time span lapse. So, I mean, I agree, but I do wonder.
Well, wonderful. Thank you. That was very much by design.
Now, did you have a longer cut? Was that your, no, it was the 2 hours was the,
No, yeah. It's 2 hours because the script was so long. Getting the script, it basically would have been like a 2.5 hour movie based off the script we had, and then having to shoot the film in 18 days. That it just was so unwieldy. It was kind of impossible. So on set, one of the first things we had to do was go through the entire script, and kind of simplify it and go, okay, well, these couple of scenes back to back could all be distilled down into one scene, while still trying to make of what Greg wrote.
Well, that and the layout of the town too.
It had to
that come into play there too.
It definitely had to be based off of where we were shooting and how many days. And so it's like, all right, we're in the jail for an entire day or a day and a half there, and so that certainly had to play with it. And then also, how to light something like that. You're shooting in this entire West town, so it's very unruly, and so we really had to simplify it all as much as possible. And so a lot of the pacing happened there, where it was just, no, there is no time to, for this thing to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Just kind of malinger around and, let's go over here. And it's like, no, it needs to get to the point of every scene because we don't have time to shoot any more than that. And so the movie, it was basically always this length, because that's just what the story was. And a few trims have been made just to punch it up a little bit. Definitely in the first act, we removed a little bit. And there's a pretty lengthy chunk in the montage, and we had to kind of bring those things down just a little bit without, messing with the movie the kind of way it is, because people seem to really enjoy it. And the pacing seems to,
but even
to move.
Even what you said earlier, how the time constraints of the town and this, that, and the other. I even think of the hotel. Okay. The hotel is actually 2 locations.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah.
I mean, that kind of stuff is just 2 locations within the town. But I mean, just all that kind of stuff is just, to me, is really cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's a nightmare. That's all a movie is basically. It's a big 4-dimensional or 3-dimensional puzzle that you're just putting the piece together. It's okay, we got to go get this little piece. And I don't know. I love the being on the fly and kind of just figuring out how to shoot all that, because it's not like we had storyboards or anything. We kind of tried to schedule it out, me and Tim and I, before the production. We had gone through, scene by scene, and it goes, okay, so this one's in here, and so we tried to block that out in a the most intuitive way possible, where it goes, okay, like we're in the jail for this amount of time, we're in the saloon for this amount of time, so let's shoot all those scenes. That way we can kind of light that location, and we know what it's going to look like in there. And so while we're in there, we can just schedule it. So we tried to make it as simple and easy on ourselves as possible. And what that does, because I don't know, I come from a kind of combat photography background. I was in the Army doing that for a while, and I grew up shooting weddings and stuff. So like kind of uncontrolled chaos and trying to capture whatever's going on in the moment, it kind of really works if you schedule it the way Tim and I did, where it's, okay, we're in this block, we have this location, here's the lighting and stuff. And so while you're in that, it's just figuring out A to Z in the scene and exactly what I need for the edit. So I don't think you could pull off a movie like this in 18 days normally, unless you cut the corners that did the kind of things we did, where the cinematographer, director, editor is all the same guy. So it's just like, no, I know what we need to get to cut together. And so like wearing that many hats, and then everybody wearing so many hats, like that's how you can really pull something like this together. But there's an extreme level of confidence probably necessary to do this, where it's just like, no, like it's going to be on the fly, but it's like I was saying earlier, it's controlled chaos. So
controlled chaos is a good word.
Yeah. And I feel you find your rhythm, and everybody. I think actors like to work that way too. Like nobody likes to be waiting around and stuff. So if you just keep the energy up and it's just we're firing and like we're moving on, and you just have to be constantly moving. I think it just works better for everybody, and you get the best out of everybody.
Yeah.
One thing that does get confusing in that though is wardrobe.
Yes, very
Yep.
much so. That one was pretty tough.
Because you're shooting all the scenes for this location of the film, you know. So everything that was shot in the jail was done like in a day or whatever. So yeah, then you got to figure out, well, this scene I had this on, and yeah, that.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah, that's a whole other nightmare. I've avoided that in my other film projects now. I go, okay, this thing's going to take place within a day or 8 hours. So like nobody's changing clothes and you're all just running from this, you know, my next one. Like you're all just running the entire time. It's in this short time span. So like, I've basically, just to make it cheap and simple on myself. Yeah, nobody changes clothes.
well, okay, I do have to ask the question: which came first? Did the casting or did you find the location? Because the location, I did, like I said, Tim told me about it. I didn't even know it existed. I've lived in Ohio my entire life, and now we're planning on going there sometime soon. Because I talked to Jeff when at the showing. You're an actor there already. So most of the cast is there already. So would that make casting very like that much easier, that you just rolled in and were like, yeah, that guy. Okay, good. We're casting.
Well, I mean, the short kind of did that for us because other than me playing the sheriff in the short, which was so Gus, who played the sheriff in Showdown, was supposed to play it in the short film. He got hurt the day I got into town to start shooting the next day. So I was just kind of a last minute here.
Yeah, he actually came off of a wagon face first.
Oh, jeez.
Into a gun. Into
Yeah.
the hammer of a gun.
Oh.
Leaving out the gory details.
It's worse, man. Off the wagon, onto the ground, onto the gun. No, I could have went even more south. But that casting right there got oh man.
He's incredible. Yeah,
he is. He looks like you just went back in like 1970s and pulled the guy off the set of a Western. Because he just yeah.
No, he's perfect.
Yeah. The
even kind of looks like Lee Van Cleef or somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
He
just the way he talks.
Yep. Like horse shit.
I think that's one of the joys of Dogwood, actually. The people that are there, Gus, even Frog or Mike Montgomery, I don't think they realize. I mean, I seen things in them. I believe Tim did, and they just didn't know it was there. And I'm personally thankful that because of Tim and Showdown and even The Door brought this out of them, because I think they're perfect.
I've been getting tons of notes from people who are like, damn, like some of the acting in here is incredible. And it's always it's always the sheriff. It's Steve, who's always brought up. And then it's Mike Montgomery, who plays Steve, the farmhand,
Rancher.
or the rancher. And so people are like, oh my God, those guys are amazing. I'm like, they're not really actors. Like that's just them. And
yeah, that's
the beauty.
They're not acting. That's them. Like they're not trying to do anything.
Being them.
Like, just how they are.
And I've found
Being themselves.
I mean, us working on low budget films for quite some time now, and I've worked on a bunch. That's how I found you can get the best performances out of people, where it's just like, okay, here's kind of what we're dealt with. Like this is the situation and the actor we have, and it's like, okay, well, how can we tailor the character to that person so we can, really act on their strengths? And if that's the kind of situation you're in, like we've gotten really good results out of that, where it's just like, all right, well, what is the truth or the emotional truth, of this character, and where can we find that within, the vessel for said character? And so it's been, I mean, I think it worked pretty great all around. And like, there's some great performances here. And Jeff, yourself, I mean, Not to build you up too much,
Yeah.
but Jeff's pretty.
Not to blow your head up a little bit.
Yeah.
Jeff's pretty great in this one. So.
Well, I talked to Jeff at the showing, and he was telling me you're the villain in Dogwood, correct? And you're the good guy in Showdown. Was that hard for you to pull off switching?
That's kind of, yeah. I mean, I kind of play both roles at Dogwood, but the majority of the time I'm usually a bad guy. I played Doc Holliday for a while, and different things like that. So yeah, I can be the bad guy, and sometimes I kind of enjoy that.
Now, this was all one location, correct? I mean, you didn't film like bits and pieces somewhere, because even the ranch is still part of Dogwood, correct? Because
Right.
yeah,
That's Frog's house. Actually, that's where he lives. That's Mike.
yeah, because I was telling, it's Mike's land, correct? It's all his, right?
Yes.
Right.
Excluding the exterior of Daryl Dunwoody's house and the
Right.
interior, which is two different houses. And then the modern day bar they go to. Those are the only other two locations that were not on the actual ranch where Dogwood Pass is located.
Right.
So, or just Dogwood Pass. So yeah, I mean, if we had any more locations, we wouldn't have been able to pull this off. So like that,
Yeah.
that's really the only thing. Yeah, that's the other way we were able to do this in 18 days with planning and that controlled chaos thing where it goes, okay, like we talked about. So scheduling locations in a smart way. And then, just having them all right there in the same place. It's like, okay, well, today, we can't be in the town because the town was still operating while we were shooting the movie. And so on weekends, they would be doing stuff. And so we would have to go shoot the modern day stuff during the weekdays, but that worked out perfect because we're still on the same ranch. And you'll go out to the nice pastures and stuff, or into the forest, or the big shootout sequences in the valley, or that little woodsy location. And so all that stuff was all right there, or within an hour away, because we had to kind of go around more near Columbus for the modern day stuff.
Yeah, the modern day stuff, it was probably about an hour and a half away. But yeah, most of all the ranch stuff, the field, the hills, all that was definitely at Dogwood. Then the modern day bar, that was probably about 30 minutes from Dogwood, actually.
Yeah. And I know, Tim, you invited me to go there, and I do apologize because I could not make it. And it was concert related. I had already had concert tickets before you invited me, and if I didn't have concert tickets, I would have been there. But being able to shoot. Did you, when you came up with the idea for the door and then Showdown, did you have Dogwood in mind? Had you been there before, or was it something you just kind of lucked into when you were putting this all together?
Yeah. So I was in a film there.
Okay.
I acted in a film there. That was the first time I was there, and got to know everybody. I was there probably close to a week. So I got to know Jeff pretty well. And
he killed me. Yeah, he got to know me.
seeing I tossed him around like
He tossed me around like little.
And you talk about
and probably a couple months later, that whole premise was actually me and a friend of mine had talked about that kind of thing when it was going to be like a horror movie. And then after being at Dogwood, I was like, you know what, that would be a cool film to, instead of going to wherever, being a big slasher horror movie, that he goes to the Old West and all this. So that's when I started working on it. Got a hold of Frog, and since I had become pretty good friends with him while I was there, and talked to him about shooting there and everything, and set it up. So
yeah, well, and to be honest, you got not only lucky with the town, you got lucky with the cast, and when I was talking to you guys at showing, I was like, these guys all legitimately feel like they know each other and they're friends. And then you're like, oh yeah, they are. They're legitimately, they all know each other and they're all friends. And I was like, that works perfectly. I mean, you know, Jeff's relationship with Mike, you know, shows on film that these guys are, you know, buddies and stuff like that you don't really get often, because, you know, you got two guys who have no clue, never met each other before. Suddenly they're supposed to be playing best friends. And there's always kind of that, you know, weird feel when you got these two guys together. They felt like they were like, if you wouldn't have told me that they were friends, I'd have been like, man, are these guys related? Are they like cousins or something? Are they because they had a very good, very noticeable friendship that you, like I said, you don't get outside of, you know, actual being personable with these people, you know, for years. And it does read very well on film, and it worked very well. And I gotta commend you guys for, you know, being able to find this and put this together and you know, not have to, you know, I mean, it doesn't, I mean, I know there's got to be struggles. There's going to be struggles in filming, but you know, yeah, you know, you already had that, you know, probably a huge chunk of it, you know, you had trained horses, you had the trained stuntmen, you had all that stuff because you were already at Dogwood. And that's, you know, now did that play part in it that you're like, well, we already got the trained horses and stuntmen, so we're putting this scene in?
Oh, of course. Yeah. It's anything that we had. It was like, okay, well, we can do that. Let's do that. Or we can't do this. We can't pull this kind of thing off. Let's not. But that was definitely the most daunting part, the safety of it all. And, oh, wow, there's horses that can kill you. Oh, there's real guns that people are firing that can kill you. And like, that was definitely the most worrying thing for me personally, was just the sheer scale of everything. And then just, you know, all the little elements of like horses, that was one of the hardest parts, because horses, you know, it's in the little behind the scenes documentary thing, but I think Jesse said it best. We're like, horses have their own time limit, and they definitely have a temperament. And like, so we learned pretty early on in the shoot the horses out first, like, because they're the most unruly actors, and if they're not happy, they'll, you know, they can kill you. So go ahead and just get them done with and get them out of there, and then worry about the people second.
I will have to say one thing though about the stunts. At the time doing them, didn't feel like much training.
No, the stunts, all your stunts are insane. Yeah, Jeff gets the absolute crap beat out of him in this movie. And no, there's not like this.
And I had nothing to do with it this time.
Yeah.
Oh, no, but you enjoyed it, I think.
Oh yeah, it was a good, nice standby watcher.
No, we literally kind of set it up and okay, Jeff, you're just gonna run and dive down this hill, and then I would kind of do it and show him like, nah, you got to throw your elbows out and your knees. So you can really get some air on this. Otherwise, it's not gonna sell. And so I would try to kind of show him what these things would look like, and that it was, you know, it could be done safely. But yeah, there's not like a stunt supervisor really, other than myself, who's just somebody who's pretty rambunctious and will do some pretty stupid things from time to time. So just, here, Jeff, you can do it somewhat safely like this.
Well, roll out. Do it. You can do it.
Yeah, even though he's a lot older than me, which it was unfortunate for Jeff really, but it looks good on the movie. And you know what? It's preserved on film. And yeah, every time he gets clotheslined or hit by a door or thrown down a ravine or you know,
comes off a horse,
thrown off a horse multiple times. Yeah, you know, it's there, and we got it on camera. So for all the injury, at least we got it.
And you know, bottom line, out of all, I wouldn't change any of it. Wouldn't you? I mean, yeah, I took a beating. I think a few people, even Matt, when he rolled down the steps after getting hit, so to speak. I mean, everybody kind of took a beating. You know, Matthew Grant when he also went down. I mean, everybody kind of took a beating, but
me when I face planted in the woods.
Yeah, that was an accident, though. And then we just incorporated that in the movie.
But he did it like 5 times every time I come around that corner, because I found out cowboy boots do not have any kind of sole whatsoever.
No.
And I would come running around that corner, and sure enough, I would face plant every time. So finally, Aaron's like, we're just going to leave that in there.
let's just. You're now laying down. The sequence picks up from you laying down now.
Right.
I mean, to me, it all put together a memory of a lifetime. It really did.
Yeah. Well, I got to ask you something, Jeff. You've been trained with guns and horses and stuff like that. Now, was it harder to basically look like a novice and to look like you're starting all over again because you are really good at it already?
It was difficult. It's harder to act like you don't know how to do something when you do know how to do it, because when you know how to do it, it just kind of comes natural to do it. And therefore, you've got to pull within yourself. Okay, forget you know any of this stuff.
Yeah, because it's I'm sitting there watching you, and you can see the transition from being a novice to being the guy who wants to be the cowboy to being the cowboy. And, knowing full well that you were well equipped at the beginning where you're fumbling around and you're just like, man, I was like, what would be harder to be the guy at the end where you're just like, yeah, I can pow, 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 or being the guy like can't hit the broadside of a barn if you're standing in it. So but you do it well. You make it believable.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now I got to ask.
There's a little dumb
There
Woody
is
in
a little
all.
dumb Woody in all of us.
Dumb Woody in all of us. Yep.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm not. I have to tell you a prank I pulled on one of my good friends years ago. My dad had a lever action 30-30 and he had a lever action 22. They looked almost exactly the same. My friend had only been shooting with us once. Never fired a gun, one other time before. So I took the 22 and I was like, pow, 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 pow. Just shot it real quick, whipped it off. And he's like, oh, can I shoot that one? That one looks like it's an easy one. I'm like, all right, hold on. Let me reload it. I come back with a 30-30 and I hand it to him. And he's like, bam! Oh! And I went, what's going on? I was like, I'm fine with this one. He goes, there was two of them? I was like, yeah, there was two of them. But, it's one of the ones when you have a blast. I mean, because, I knew the weapons well. I'd been around them my entire life. And I was able to, kind of trick him without actually getting him hurt or nothing like that. But it was funny just to watch him fire that gun once. And that kick hit him in the shoulder. And he's like, oh, damn, that doesn't look like it's that bad. I'm like, well, this one's not. This one is a bitch.
Now, you mentioned that. It's funny because actually my son that was actually at the screening that we had, he actually thought when I took the rifle and the John Wayne movement with it, he actually thought that was CG. It's like, no, that wasn't CG. I did it after rolling down the hill 30 times. But yeah, and it took me a minute, but yeah, definitely not CG. So my hat off to Aaron on putting all that together.
Oh, it's like, I just kept having you do it.
You did.
You probably did it like 60 times. And the shot in the movie after you do it and then you fire, there's two shots after you do it. There's one kind of looking down the barrel and you're just trying to catch your breath and you're like, you just look so intense. That's just you waiting to see if you have to do it again. And then the same thing after that. After you lower the rifle and you're just like so out of breath and it's kind of this shot, it's supposed to show your how you feel in this moment after you've done this thing that you did or took a life or whatever it is. And the camera's kind of pulling out. Same thing. I just had another B camera rolling on you, and you're lowering the gun and trying to catch your breath while I'm doing something else. And in the actual take, you can hear me like, all right, I'm over here, and I'm yelling at somebody else or something. And so it's just you, and the camera's just on you, and you're just tired as all hell. Because, yeah, that was the same day you rolled down that ravine and everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
So you legitimately made your actors look like they were beat up, worn out, and tore up by wearing them out, beating them up, and tearing them up.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's how you get an actor to act. You actually put him in a situation to which he. Well, and you guys got
with the limitations we had. Oh no, yeah. Continue, sir.
Oh, you guys got Vernon Wells to be in the movie. Tell us about that. That for those who don't know, that's from Road Warriors and Commando for the ones that everybody know him from, or Weird Science, because no one remembers he plays the same character from.
Yeah.
I know everybody brings that up too. Weird
Yeah.
Science.
And,
So actually, Aaron and I met over a long weekend initially during pre-production to kind of just work stuff out with the script and scheduling and kind of start that all up. And then we were trying to think of a name actor that we could get. And we came up with Vernon. I sent him a message on Facebook and sent him a link to the door and said, we're looking to do a feature film version of this film and would like you to play the town tycoon. And he wrote me back like 20 minutes later and said, get a hold of my agent and we'll work this out.
cool.
Yeah.
Now, how long did you have him on set?
2 days.
2 days, yeah.
So, yeah, 2 days.
Yeah. It's,
So I mean, most of his scenes were, they were all within a couple of locations, and that was really the scheduling thing, because the scheduling of it was such a weird thing. Where like Deborah Lamb, she was never there while Jesse or Vernon were, and so it was really who was in scenes together. So Jesse and Vernon are always kind of in scenes together. So like they were during the first week. And so we shot all of their stuff. Any scene with Jesse, the final action scene, all that stuff was done within the first week. Anything with Vernon, first week. Everything in the jail, first week. And then Deborah Lamb didn't show up till like day 10 through 12.
10, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it had to be figured out in the puzzle piece where you go, okay, well, and so I literally had to break down the scripts into not only by scene, but what part of scene are the actors in. So it goes, okay, this isn't just scene 121. Now it's scene 121, A, B, and C, because B is this whole section where he's over here with this actor who's not going to be here during that week. And so it's really figuring out all those puzzle pieces and then just praying that the weather is going to be consistent. Because it's all outside. So there were so many variables. This thing was truly like the most terrifying and daunting. And the shooting process was probably the single most harrowing of my life. And I've shot some pretty crazy shit. So like this one was, it was insane.
Yeah,
I want to say one thing.
The weather was like, it was perfect.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't have better weather that whole time.
I want to say one thing about Vernon. Vernon's actually, I like Vernon. Vernon is a very down-to-earth person with a sense of humor. And I appreciated that I just appreciate that out of people. And he's one person where things haven't gone to his head.
Because I hear horror stories from other filmmakers they're like, well, I got him for 2 days, or I got him for 3 days. And they're like, they show up on set, they do all their scenes, they don't interact with anybody outside of their shots, and then they leave. And you're just like, then you hear these really good stories about like, Vernon's like, a very personable guy, very, and that's really cool to hear, and he does a great job in the movie. And if you wouldn't have told me he was only on there for 2 days, you'd never know he was only on there for 2 days. So, I mean,
yeah, it seems like a bigger role when you watch the film, actually.
Oh yeah. He definitely feels like, I mean, I was guessing you had him maybe 5 days, from the way it's shot and everything else like that. But I'm amazed what you were able to knock out in 2 days is amazing. That's a very good job. I don't know.
Well, thank you. I shoot a lot very quickly. So
Yeah.
it'll look like a lot more elaborate than it might actually be, or just through shot choice and stuff. And he was wonderful. It was awesome working with him, and I've definitely dealt with it the other way too, where they're not so fun. And so it was
fact,
awesome. Yeah. It was awesome having Vernon.
So, like I said, the movie is, like I said, I don't want to give much away. It is a really, really super entertaining, fun. It keeps you, right there. You like what I said before. I was like, when you told me it was 2 hours, and I'm like, this isn't 2 hours, and I like, oh, that's 2 hours. It's almost exactly 2 hours. And you guys, I mean, I don't want to. I'm not going to. I don't want to play your guys' role down any way, shape, or form. You guys did great. You guys hit the lottery with this thing. I mean, with having the actors who already knew each other, who already had relationships, and you were able to work that. They were already working in the town, all that stuff, and you were able to bring everything together, plus your story, and it's just a really good, making a mixed drink. You put all your ingredients together and you get the really good mixed drink. That's what you got. It's
Nice.
yeah. Putting it.
Oh, I didn't say much. It was just thank you for your praise of the film and everything. And yeah, for this also being the most, maybe like we had the most ideal circumstances to be able to pull this thing off while also having maybe the worst circumstances. Like shooting a movie in 18 days is not a smart thing to do. Scheduling a lot of it the way we had to isn't, the greatest thing to do. But I love watching really bad like B movies in the 80s, low budget films, because I think it's equally as important as watching great classics and stuff. And like I kind of am an amateur film historian, I guess, where it's like I love old classic films, but at the same time, I love really bad ones, and I love digging out a little piece of treasure from 1986 nobody's ever seen, because when you can see the effort in something like that, it's always amazing. We're like, wow, you didn't have to try this hard on this tiny little B movie, but like you did. And then the opposite as well. When they just do something horribly, you can kind of reverse engineer that. Like, well, why didn't that work? Why can I tell that they didn't have these actors on the set at the same day? It's like, well, because they didn't think to shoot it maybe a more clever way, or to kind of, take in all these variables. And so if you can watch a lot of bad movies, it almost can teach you how to make good ones. Or, if you're going to have to make a film on similar circumstances, how can you avoid the pitfalls of other cheap things? And so I'm trying to create this kind of expensive looking style in the fastest, cheapest way possible.
That's how I always feel when I'm in movies. Like, obviously there's some I've done that I thought, weren't the greatest. And I always say I always come away from it. I can at least learn how not to do stuff too.
Right.
When you're set, no matter what.
Well,
You can always learn how to do things.
Well, I think this way is with lower budget movies, and the guys put a ton of effort into it. They put a lot of heart into movies.
Yeah.
And if you got a great big budget, you don't have to put heart into it, because you can just, make it slap a coat of paint on it, make it look nice. I'm a huge fan of the knockoff movies from back in the 80s, when they were making the Mad Max, the Conan knockoffs, the Westerns and stuff like that. But, those guys had no budget, were able to make movies that I find entertaining as hell, and
as a,
go ahead.
I was saying, as a modern indie filmmaker, you're basically under a lot of the same restrictions they were, where it goes, no, we don't have a ton of opticals or special effects money, or even the time or planning to do a lot of these kind of things. So it's what can we capture in camera, which, that was what they were under. And now we have cameras are finally widely accessible. So before, like in the 80s, and when everything was on film, it was much harder to, shoot something and make it look decent. You had to have at least 35 to try to make it look like something big or classic. And so now you can just do that. And so we kind of, just off the bat, if you have no money, like we kind of did on this one, like you're on the same level as them now, where you go, okay, Charles Band in the 80s and Full Moon and all those features, like that's what we're doing. Yeah. And so it's like, wow, what creativity and what heart can you bring to it? Because that's all we're looking for. So it's with every moment, what would be the boring thing to do? It's like, all right, well, we'll just change up the blocking, try to keep it interesting. And if you're not going into every scene, like trying to make it the best thing you can do, what are you doing? Like, as a filmmaker, all I'm looking for is choices most of the time. And so when I'm watching a movie, even if it's the wrong choice, like at least you did something, or you tried to do something interesting or subjective, because that's all you can do. And so like this one was a great test because it wasn't my script really, and I'm just really the visual storyteller on it. And I was like, well, how can I, we did add a lot of really emotional elements to it. And we really focused on the character side of it, and that was what I could really bring to it. Was, can we focus on Daryl Dunwoody as a human being? And maybe that's all a great story is like a realistic representation of authentic human, like behavior or story.
Yeah.
And so, trying to just tell this emotional truth of, okay, sure, this is a silly cowboy in the past movie and a nerd going in time, but like what truth can we bring to that, and what has nobody else tried? Because that's what I find is missing in a lot of movies today, and especially low budget ones, is a genuine attempt to tell a story and a genuine attempt to tell a human story. And so that was really where a lot of the focus needed to lie on this one, was let's tell the best story we can about a human being.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I think you guys knocked it out of the ballpark. I mean, it's a really good movie. I've been telling everybody. I mean, my dad watches Western stuff like that. He's like, well, where can I watch? It's like, it's not out yet, but when it comes out, you're gonna have to watch it. And I told him the story, and then I showed him, and I was like, he's like, well, where's it filmed? I was like, it's filmed in Ohio, and then I brought up the where it was filmed. I was like, this guy. I was like, oh yeah. And he's like, man, that sounds like a really neat idea. And I'm like, well, it worked well. So, and it's, I have my buddy who went with us to go to the screening. He's not a low budget movie guy, not really into him. He liked it. He's like, them guys did a good job. I mean, he was impressed, and he's not one who's regularly impressed by low budget movies. And if you can get him, you can get, so yeah, because
I'm gonna go get my electric. My laptop's gonna die. I'll
Okay.
be right back.
Okay, bye, Jeff.
No, I gotta get the electric there, or it's really gonna die.
all right. Well, when you guys put this together, how long was it from like you got the idea together to the time it was done? Conception to finished movie, how long was it?
Well, it took a lot longer than it was supposed to. And conception was 3-4 years ago, Tim, when we did the short. We shot the short while I was still doing my first movie, and we did it like in between another movie we did, a Lynn Kabaczynski movie, and then we did my movie, Hans Volition, and then The Door, all in like a week or two. We had did like 3 movies back to back. We shot Tim's scenes in my film, The Door in its entirety, and then went off and shot this whole other movie, all in like 3 weeks. And then so we had The Door that came out maybe 6 months after that or something, and that's been in festivals. I think that's still in festivals. Like it's
Yeah, it's still got a couple more that I'm waiting to hear back from as far as selection.
Okay, well, cool. So that was a process, and then what do you say, Tim? Like how many? I mean, it took 2 years probably from shooting the film, because we shot it last October, 2 Octobers ago.
2 Octobers ago.
Late September, so it's almost 2 years ago.
Yep. So, and then that was really down to post-production. There was just a lot of in shooting a movie in 18 days, some technical things are going to go wrong. So there was a lot to really clean up, as well as I had to finish my first film. So we had to wait on that, and then my first movie came out, and then then I really started getting serious on this one, and that. Yeah, there was just so much more technical stuff that we were not kind of thinking we'd have to deal with. And so once I had dealt with it and we cleaned it all up, and we got it in there, and nobody will notice, hopefully, anything. But it was just a lot more variables than we were I guess, prepared for. But that, I mean, that's a trade-off. If you're going to shoot a movie in 18 days, and you have, one guy for the entire camera department, some of these you might run into a few of these issues. So I don't advise it. Don't shoot a movie in 18 days, especially one this size, if you can help it. But that being said, I think, I'm pretty amazed every time I look at it. Like, wow, we did it.
Yeah, it doesn't look like an 18-day movie at all. And like I said, I was impressed, and when you told me, like you said, you had Vern for 2 days, that's, like I said, I would suspect that most of the people were on the set from the way it was shot, the way it was filmed. It's pretty seamless. When you're telling me like this person didn't even show up till like the last 6 days of shooting, you're just like, wow, like it really seems like those people were there most of the time, but
it's all in planning.
Yep. That's time management.
Well, my first film took 3 years from, the whole way through. And that was basically like my student film. So I was shooting little pieces of it over 3 years where I'm like, this sucks. And the writing sucks in this part. Well, let's write something new and try to insert with the good footage that we have. And so I really learned a lot about seams and editing, and like, you know what, all we need is this person's elbow. And like you can get really clever with doubles and stuff. And so this movie was like the final exam, where it was just like I was just finishing my first movie, and it's like, okay, now I got to do this in 18 days. All right, you know how to do this in concept, execute.
Look, that's it's got to be a hell of a jump to go from your basically student film to this film, like right back to back, right?
Yeah, but it's good. It was the what am I looking for? The parable I needed, or like the just jump straight in and see what you can do. Like I find that you kind of have to just throw yourself into a lot of situations, or at least for myself, I have to throw myself into a lot of situations, and then learn how to be prepared for them. Otherwise, I'll never do anything. So it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go do this insane thing. It's like, okay, well, I gotta get things. I need to learn as much as possible before that. So
one thing to me that's kind of crazy about this whole thing. So obviously Jeff lives in Columbus, Ohio, I live in upstate New York, and Aaron lives in Oregon.
Yeah.
So
we're spread.
Throw that in there as well.
Yeah, definitely spread.
Yeah, I used to be on the East Coast with you guys. Things seem to be a lot easier. I was in Baltimore for the longest time during my first film, but yeah, during this one, I've been out of Portland the entire time. So it's been
it's a hell of a distance from Ohio. Jeff was probably the only one that got to go home at night to go to sleep in his own bed, right?
No, he did not.
Oh,
no. No.
Jeff had to be. Well, Jeff's in almost every scene.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure, yeah.
The film kind of follows his character, and there's only a few scenes that he's not in. And honestly, I felt kind of weird about him. I was like, well, this is such a character piece, and it's so from his perspective, and this movie starts with him. And, I don't want to say too much, but there's a little bit of stuff with him and his daydreams and stuff, and maybe he's not the most reliable narrator, so maybe the film can be viewed from different perspectives if you want. Maybe certain things aren't real, so just go into it with an open mind, and maybe not everything is what it seems to be. But
yeah, I think the biggest scene that he wasn't in was Jesse and Vernon.
Yeah. And then also it's really only a few scenes with Vernon. It's also when Dobbs, the sheriff, confronts.
Right.
There's only a few scenes where you kind of trail off away from his character. Otherwise, he's just about every scene. So he had to, he was the first one on the set, and then also he's a producer on it. So, he had to make sure it was all working in his own way too. So it was all very, he was involved all the way through it. And then, yeah, we were all sleeping out there. We were all in the bunkhouses or sleeping in the lofts of each building, or like the hotel that Daryl Dunwoody is staying in the movie is a real bed that somebody was sleeping in while they were out there. Like that was I was sleeping in the jail during parts of it. It was which is uncomfortable.
Yeah, been there.
Well, like I said, guys, this is an amazing piece of work. The movie gods have kind of come together for you guys to put this together. Um, it is action, it's comedy, there's drama. There's real feeling. I don't want to give anything away, but man, when Daryl's out there and you're just kind of like, oh man, he's the hero of the movie and it's going to happen. But man, like I said, I don't want to give nothing away, but man, you're really feeling for the guy in the scene. And, he just, he knocks it out of the ballpark in that one. You guys put that scene together well. But yeah, I mean, it's everything you need in a movie. You got a great score, good acting, good shooting, like I said, it's a lot there, and you guys really got a lot.
We should probably talk about the score as well.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask
Oh, the
next.
score.
Yeah,
Amazing.
the score is Brandon Richard. This is his second score. His first one was on my first film. And he did such an incredible job that I kind of just really leaned into him on this one, where I was like, you know what? I think he can probably pull off a John Williams-esque kind of score here. And so it's just like, yeah, we really relied on that in a lot of scenes, or leaned into it, where I was like, this moment's really going to sound like this huge, giant orchestral thing. And like, there's especially some scenes towards the middle or during the end of the second act where the score just goes insane. And it's just like, yeah, we had a lot of faith in that guy after what he did in my first film, and he really delivered. He's incredible. And I think his career is going to take off in its own way. He's amazing. So he needs to do more stuff, but he's got some more stuff on the horizon. He'll be on my next film naturally. And his score on that's going to be even more insane because it's kind of horror bongo-y metal, like everything. It's it's incredible.
One thing I definitely want to make sure that I get in is I just want to say thank you to my old friend above, and not only just for bringing everybody together in the manner and in the way that it was done. It's, thank you and thank you. I mean, yeah. And I mean that from here.
Well, thanks, Jeff. It truly worked out amazingly. I'm still amazed every time I kind of look at it. I'm like, how did this happen? Like, it shouldn't exist, but somehow it does.
It does. And like you said, everybody from the score to even Tim that wrote the music video. Just everything is, yeah.
Yeah, chef's kiss. Everybody put in everything to it. Like, everybody believed in it and put in all their effort. We really made the best film I think we could. And so I'm rather proud of it in a few ways, where I'm, like, under the circumstances we were under, we made the absolute best film we could make. And I think that's true across the board for everybody involved with it. And
everybody that touched it.
If you're not doing that, like, I don't know, that's the goal. That's what you got to do. Like, and even if it doesn't work, like, at least you can feel the effort. You can feel the heart, the trying of it. Like, if you're not, you got it. That's what you got to do, man.
Well, with putting together low budget movies, and you do the best with what you have. And, some people like, well, we got a small budget, we just did okay. I'm like, no, you do the best you can with what you have. And you guys were able to pull out the absolute phenomenal best with what you had, and I don't know the budget. I don't, because I think if I knew the budget, I would probably be even, but knowing that you guys,
it's shockingly low. It's it's peanuts. Most of us, a lot of everyone was working for free. So it's
wait, there was a budget?
Yeah, truly. Yeah, it shouldn't be possible.
Yeah. And you guys pulled the absolute best out of, thin air, but like I said, you guys got super lucky. The town, the people, Tim, everybody was able to come together and do their, just boom. I mean, it's just that, that incredible. And I gotta admit, it's a fun watch. It's incredible knowing that now that you tell me that there's little to no budget, and damn, holy crap, this just keeps getting, better because you guys were able to do that on what you were able to do. So, but I don't want to hold you guys up too long here today. But I do have 2 questions at the end here. 2 questions. All right. Going to start with Jeff. We'll go down.
Okay.
I'm losing you guys here. Okay. Favorite Western.
A little bit. I'm with you.
Okay. Favorite Western, Jeff.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Big part of me at this point in time wants to say McClintock.
That was the one we had the rights to. I guess it's a joke. I'll explain your joke here. That was the one we used in the film on the TV constantly, because that's public domain. So we watched that film probably 100 times during the making of.
Yeah. Have you ever seen it? No.
Yeah. That was the big joke. All of a sudden you just go, hey, have you ever seen McClintock?
No, I would almost have to say probably my favorite Western was the latest Tombstone with Val and all of them. Probably one of my favorite.
That is a great movie. I love that movie. All right, Tim, what's your favorite?
Oh, Jeff, you had to steal mine, didn't you? Is Bone Tomahawk a Western?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Western.
Crazy Western, but it's a Western.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that yours, Tim? That and Tombstone, is those yours?
And McClintock.
And
McClintock.
I'll have to go with Good, Bad, and the Ugly, just because. Maybe not even that. Once Upon a Time in the West is way classier, and it's filmed on. I don't know. I'm kind of tied with those because they're both incredible. I think Good, Bad, and the Ugly's got such this kind of human, I don't know, it's crazy. I love the story and how it's just kind of following these dudes, but there's the background of the Civil War and everything. It's like, it's so amazing. But then Once Upon a Time in the West is kind of the truest Western I think there is. And so maybe Once Upon a Time in the West, and then, oh God, I had the other one. Shoot, it wasn't. Oh, Jeremiah Johnson, probably. It's kind of such a mountain man movie, and you can.
I forgot about.
Yep.
If you told me that's not a Western, and if it's just a man's survival film, but yeah, Jeremiah Johnson for sure. That's like
yeah. Okay, since we got time travel involved, time travel movie. What's your favorite time travel movie, Jeff?
I'm gonna. Star Trek. Yep.
As accepted. Yeah.
I mean, it's not a Western. Definitely time travel, space travel to me through time.
Yeah. Well, they went back to the 1980s and saved them whales. So
there you go.
Yep. Time travel. All right, Tim.
So, like I always, the description I give for Showdown is Back to the Future meets Magnificent Seven. So
there you go.
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
I love Back to the Future. I think it is probably the best, most succinct time travel movie that brings it down to the simplest terms. Kind of has the story so figured out, and it works every time you watch it. That end when he's got to hit the hook on the thing and get the 21,000 gigawatts or whatever. That's all so perfectly pulled off and incredible. But I gotta say, I don't know. There's probably 2 movies that were the biggest influence on this one. One was I don't like it that much, but it's called Time Rider, and it's this old movie. And I know Greg was thinking about it when he wrote this, and so Time Rider had a lot of inspiration on this because it's a very similar movie.
Mm-hmm.
And in a lot of ways, I was thinking about that when I'm trying to not just be Time Rider, and that's why there's so much I think focus on the drama and the characters and the reality of it all. Because I was just like, I've seen this movie before, so we should do not that exact thing. And then the other one is Somewhere in Time with Christopher Reeve, and it's this extremely romantic and sad film. And that had a huge influence on this film, and especially with the Daryl character. When he comes back, I don't want to say too much, but when he comes back from the past portion of the movie, it gets pretty dark there for a minute. And if you've seen the ending of Somewhere in Time, it's kind of very much in the vein of that. So I'd have to say Somewhere in Time, and we'll just leave it at that one. I don't know, maybe the first Terminator, right? It's not
Terminator.
much of time travel.
Yeah.
Obviously, definitely one, yeah.
Obviously, for the door, like in the saloon scene when I was writing, that was obviously like a Back to the Future type thing.
I'm like that. That's one of the funny things when he keeps crashing through doors trying to go back into the future. I can't. I laughed at it every time. And it doesn't give nothing away, but man, every time so oh man. But I like I said, guys, you guys did a great job. The whole cast did great. Getting to meet these guys and stuff. I will edit our interviews from the screening into this. And I got to ask you guys, it's all right to use the trailer to the movie or you guys got
maybe wait until the new trailer comes out.
Yeah, the actual trailer. That was just something I kind of put together before the Buffalo.
Okay. Yeah, I'll just use the footage I got from the screening, edit that together. I'll probably be working on that late into the night. I was hoping to have it drop tomorrow. We're gonna see. Fingers crossed it drops tomorrow at noon. So
yeah.
Awesome.
But it is a holiday, so I might put it off and it might drop Tuesday at noon. That gives me
Right. Yeah.
So I want to thank you guys for coming on, for taking time out of your day. And like I said, congratulations on the movie. And Tim, you were posting, you guys are doing like getting awards now, aren't you?
Yeah, we got the Audience Choice Award in Buffalo.
Sweet. And
which we weren't even supposed to be competing there. So
yeah, we can't.
Yeah, wasn't even competing.
We couldn't get an actual like regular award because Greg wrote the script and he's one of the directors of the film festival. So
yeah,
but everybody reacted at the screening, like everybody was just blown away. So he was like, I got to give you something. He's like, that's what everybody was talking about afterwards was Showdown and Yesteryear. So
yep. Well, like I said, guys, great movie. Jeff, you did awesome. Great acting. It's and the rest of the cast, great cast. Great script, great directing. You guys all did a phenomenal job, and I am thoroughly impressed. And I can't wait to own a physical copy and then send it all off to you guys and make you all sign it. So
awesome.
Excellent.
Yeah, as you were talking about Time Runner.
Happy to do it.
I legitimately own a DVD copy of Time Runner over here somewhere in my stuff.
Time Writer. Yeah.
Writer, not runner. Yeah, but can't wait for
the
this.
Late great Fred Ward.
Yep. Oh my God, Fred Ward was great. But like I said, I can't wait to see this again and show more people. Do you guys have before we get too far, do you guys have a distributor yet? No.
That's what I've been doing lately, like daily, is researching all that because I know there's so many out there that'll just screw you over so bad. So I mean, I want to make sure I get at least a decent deal.
Cool.
And again, it's something else I actually want to say too. I want to thank Timothy O'Hearn. I want to thank you, friend, for you brought us all together, man. You made it happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's like I said, you guys, it's great. I'm pushing it. I'm telling everybody. I've got probably 20 people that I know, friends and family, that are like, so when's this movie coming out? I'm like, when it comes out, I'll let you know because I'll get a copy and then I'll make sure you guys can see it. So,
Yeah, hopefully once we get this new cut completed, I'm going to start reaching out to some of these people and see what kind of feedback I get.
Yeah. The thing is, right now, you guys are doing physical, correct? You're going to release physical copies of this, right? I've talked to other people who are like, yeah. That's the goal.
That's what I want. I don't know. I was trying to find out. So if I went with Indie Rights, which is basically just, it's all streaming stuff, I think I still hold the rights for physical copies if I was to do that myself. So
okay,
I'm that scenario possibly.
All right. Cool. Well, gentlemen, I'm going to let you guys get back to your day. Have a good weekend. Finish up your Sunday and have a good Labor Day. Take care. Hopefully, I will be seeing Jeff sometime soon when I get up to Dogwood. And
Absolutely.
And before we go, do you have a schedule for Dogwood coming up?
I do, but actually the last show of the season is coming up this coming weekend. Now, with that said, Dogwood still opens up in October for Halloween because the town has a scare factor. Then it also opens up again for Christmas with Santa Claus and the Grinch. They won't let me shoot the Grinch, but I'm still trying.
Yeah, gotta pick him off. So, but thank you guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I will let you guys go.
Thank you. Yeah.
I don't want to tie up any more of your day. But like I said, thank you so much. That my dog's now starting to poke me outside. So take care, gentlemen.
Have a
Take care. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
All right, we have more of the cast of Showdown and Yesteryear. We have the Sheriff, we have Steve, Chip, he named after my dog. Yeah, I figured. And I love this movie. It's very fun. Like I said, I didn't know. Then you guys act like they know each other. And then you guys know each other. And Tim, let me see the short. And I kind of wanted to come in. Don't want to get back to that later, but you guys did a great job. You're the sheriff, was awesome. You killed it. I mean, and the only thing I could think was every time I see you, oh yeah, I see, yeah. We ran train for Robert Duvall, who I see. Yeah. When he's in the movie, I just kept seeing it, and it didn't hurt when I just watched the movie with him the other day. Oh yeah. He fit the role and it didn't work, but oh my gosh, you knocked it, like I said, you knocked it out of the ballpark. And I could never hear bullshit. And just when you're just and it's the grizzled old, but the grizzled old sheriff, and it was awesome. It was. I mean, you guys are all.
These guys are, they do it every weekend.
They do it. No, you're sheriff.
He's a sheriff. He's a sheriff. That's on the site show.
Yeah,
he's outlaw.
I've lived there all my time. And Tim was telling me about the film, and he's like, oh, it's all about Columbus. I'm like, what? So now we'll make my family and start figuring out his time.
Yeah, do that, man. Yeah. Come down to Fairtown.
Yeah. And we're hoping to hit it before the end of summer, but.
And if you don't, we're going to do a big Christmas thing, too.
Oh, sweet. So I'll drag my family out there.
We have a couple weeks for that night.
Okay, cool. And like I said, you guys did a great job.
Well, appreciate that.
He's like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I thought I killed him. That's just the great shot. And that was fun. I just and just I don't know what to say. You guys did a great job. And I don't want to give nothing away from the movie. I'm going to tell people to go see this. But thank you.
No, I appreciate it.
Not a problem. Not a problem. Great meeting you guys, and hopefully I'll be seeing you.
Come down and see me.
Yeah. So take care. This is the premiere of your movie Showdown in Yesteryear. This is a fun, action-packed movie. I loved it. I thought it was great. The casting was great. Over there was fun. The beast over here was and
Just like real big, old buddy. You two guys.
basically and this was from the short,
Charlene, come here.
and I think this one better. And there was proof. The short was the proof of concept.
Right.
Yeah. And I enjoyed the hell out of it. Fun. The Gordon, the first time I've been able to have been to something with the cast and everybody here. And this guy right here is he's great. I like it. Come here, if you don't mind. I do a show, YouTube show. I interviewed Tim, found out about the show. He told me about you. Yeah, he goes, I needed a Ben Foster type guy. and I saw the original short, and they had a big monster guy playing.
Yeah. That was pretty intimidating when I first saw that before I got cast. And I was like, okay.
And I told him I think it worked better because, you had a lot of bigger guys and stuff in the West, but having a smaller guy with like a chip on his shoulder. And I thought that
That's a good observation. That's something I really thought about. Going into it, I really thought about having like things like set apart. Yeah, that was I think I'm pretty sure like Aaron and Tim just decided to do that, and I was like, so that was also like it's also like nights in real life too, because it was like trying to pull me out of it. Maybe that's what they did, but
And that's one of the reasons I got cast when I was a brother.
Yeah.
Like bigger guy, but you tell me what to do, baby.
And it worked because you were like, all right, I'll do it. Because when he turned around, like, all right, I'll go bury him.
I'll get back on Saturday.
different too.
And we did a great job. It was fun. And we've had the discussion about the movie before, and seeing the final, and you're just like, yep, that completely worked. Because because I'm not gonna lie, because it was like, because I saw the short, I'm like, okay, we're gonna have a smaller guy. But you got a big guy. I don't know how big the guy was. You had 6 foot 6. There's 10-inch difference between. And I thought that was better because
It's competition.
yeah, not a competition, but I'm not trying to insult the other guy or anything like that. But yeah,
it felt more the part for you because
Seeing, well, we weren't on, we were never on set together. The other
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. We were on the previous project.
And you and that's why I cast you this. Like watching you and that's how I envisioned the Beast guy.
I had heard of Riding Horses for like the HBO show, and I almost got casted, but I didn't. So then Tim calls me up and I was like,
hell, I can ride a
I
horse.
was like, listen, I can ride a horse. He was like, that's a big selling point.
Yeah, I've heard that. Ironically enough, it's like I've talked to other directors and stuff, and some other actors I know, and they're like, I lied to them I could ride a horse, and then they're like, okay, ride a horse, and they're like,
This time it was actually true.
yeah, and horses. I grew up with cousins that had farms and stuff like that. And horses can be temperamental.
We know that just from
Yeah, I mean, Aaron talked about doing some sort of director's commentary.
yeah, we want to.
And we can send this to this too, yeah. But yeah, and like I said,
Horses are a big pain in the ass. That's something that's a hard lesson Aaron and the team learned is that you gotta shoot horses first.
Yeah, they have a temper. They don't want to be hanging around tied up for too long.
No, and
Chewing on everything and fucking up the sound.
Did you have blanks?
It's a mix, so I would say it's probably 75 to 80% blank, like real blanks.
Oh yeah, because horses don't do real.
There's plenty of the real guns on the horse. They're from they're pretty used to it.
Oh, see, I have that.
That's a sick fucking shirt.
I just got this yesterday.
Nice.
I say really nice time.
It's Friday. But yeah, to have that location and that was great. I mean, that was. And he was like, "Hey, you know, we're season like my entire life." Then I'm like, then he's like, "We need to come down," and then I'm like, "I got concert tickets that day." I'm sorry, I would make it, but yeah. But that was an amazing location. Amazing job. Everybody did an amazing job. I know that we did everybody else. We'll get the star, and Bone will have to swing.
Clint, how'd you get time off?
Great job. How'd you get time off? I'm not gonna lie though. I met that
I believe that. I believe it.
I used to know this guy. I went to high school in Sigmund, and we had a guy. Always wore his cowboy hat, his duster to high school. Didn't matter. Middle of summer, dead of winter, duster, hat. And, I mean, he did work on a farm. He did live on a farm and everything. But he lived that cowboy life no matter what.
Did he want to be John Wayne?
I think he wanted to be Clint.
Well, I can't argue.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I had this discussion with somebody else the other day. I was like, I didn't want to be John Wayne. I didn't want to be, Clint Eastwood. I wanted to be Franco Nero. I wanted to be Django. I wanted to be the old Italian spaghetti.
I think what was so good about this thing now, I think everybody kind of felt it.
You guys are very good.
Everybody felt each other. I mean, it
Was it really? I'd be really scared.
was a connection.
I know it was in the club that
Yeah.
I have no idea. He owns them.
Okay, so so that dynamic worked like out on film, and then it was like I said, I'm like, yeah, it works. So I mean, this is. did a great job. When you're dragging yourself, I can't give too much away, but when you're making your way back, you're just like.
A lot of that wasn't an act because that was one hell of a day. I'm going to tell you that. One hell of a day.
He's like, well, what do we need you to do? We need you to get from there to there. How do we? Oh, that's easy. Drag yourself from here to there. And did you all your stunts?
Everything, anything anybody did there. I mean, it was everybody did their own. Yeah, the rolling down the hill, the air. Everything.
I like this, especially after it's a here. It was a fun movie. It was, like I said, I've known people like that, and I knew guys that would and they'd go through that door. They wouldn't even think a second about it. And 4 years later, guys trying to get back. They'd be like, nope, this is where I'm They'd be like, no, I'm right for it.
I lived it. I mean, we all lived it for, 18 days. We lived it.
That's not like more than 18 days. But you guys are probably banging out 18 days.
18-hour days. Yeah, I mean,
We had a couple of small days and they were the modern days.
Yeah.
So what was harder? Was the modern day shoot harder or the right?
I don't remember. Okay, I mean, I know rolling down the hill was a pain. Throwing out the horse was a pain. There was some pain. Getting hit in the bar, that probably was a pain.
It was something that like I said, I saw the short. I didn't see the feature length of it, and you knocked it out of the ball. Like I said, no one's like that probably here. And how much you
When I play a role, I mean, it's all. I don't know. I think there's some dumb one in all of us. How's that?
Yeah,
I think there's some dumb one in all of us, And I believe we all want to be. I think you just play that. I feel from a kid. Maybe I'm just a big kid.
definitely. We're all
Any way to make a movie, that's the way you do it.
Yes,
Exactly.
because
Playing with the kid again.
yeah, it's we're playmaking, and it's you get to be
The Cowboys and Indians are
and so
I can see mom.
No. Actually, it was kind of funny because at Dogwood, I play more of a serious kind of villain, maybe, and sometimes a good guy. But I played more of a serious kind of person, and it was funny because after making this thing and going down to Dogwood, playing whatever I played, Mike looked at me and said, "Okay, look, we don't want Dogwood." I'm still trying to shake it.
You gotta get out.
I'm still trying to shake it.
Oh yeah. I can see that. I know people that like some other actors and when they get into their role, and they start feeling it, and then it takes them a while.
Because you want to be humble.
I mean, you do. Luckily, I've been in 2 movies, and I never took either one of them all the way home. I was a killer in one, and I was just congratulations to Steve. I can't wait till it comes out. And I'm going to send it off to
Well, it's lovely to have you.
Thanks for the movie. You know,